There are men who don't need to speak when they enter a residence. The air becomes denser, the energy changes, and the marauders adjust. No one knows why, but everyone understands. No buska attention, no greeta, no assume. Their mere presence commands respect, and is not magic but power. Real power is the ability to control oneself before attempting to control the world. Because a man who lacks self-control becomes a slave to his impulses. Today, I will discuss the 5 abilities that distinguish the common man from the incorruptible man. 1 is emotional autodominio, the peace that governs chows. Nothing is more alluring to a woman than a man who rules his inner world when everything around him is falling apart. The majority of males would immediately react to any provocation, comment, or gesture that they didn't like. Say derumben, essie and faden, essie justifican. They are transparent, predictable, and they turn out to be aburridos without fail. A woman notices them right away. Their insecurity is evident in their voice. The way that they seek approval is reflected in their posture. The man who truly understood how to play the game of emotional power without retaliation. Look, consider, and make a decision. He may experience anger, desire, or frustration, but he never lets those feelings control him. A woman does not immediately lose her feelings when she tries to elicit them with remarks or hints. It's unclear, confused, or desperation to explain. Their posture remains unaltered, their voice remains calm, and their gaze remains firm. Any woman who sees it is naturally fascinated by this combination of control and mystery. Being emotionally powerful in front of a woman does not imply hiding feelings from a female. Denotes having the ability to feel deeply yet, at the same time, maintain composure and make precise decisions. Proving that their emotions are not a weak spot that anyone can conquer. A woman notices this almost immediately. This includes how they listen without interruption, how they sing without approval, and how they remain present even when she tries to destabilize them with words or gestures. Each of his movements conveys that he is his own due, and that his silent authority inspires respect and desire. When a man reaches this state of tranquility, he stops asking for help and starts to provide it without trying. To be seen, a woman does not need to be great. Feel your power in every word, every gesture, and every pausa. And she is the most seductive of all. The more calm and solid she remains, the more intrigued and alluring she becomes.
Dose.
Sexual discipline, the ability to control anger. This is a skill that most men are afraid to face honestly. We live in a time when desire and validation are confused, and many people abandon their victories, as if the number of animals were a sign of power. However, those men are actually enslaved by their own place. An esclavo del placer will never be free and will never have true authority. Posing as a woman or accumulating victories is not the true definition of masculine power. Resides in controlling the energy that resides within you. Not ciega abstinence, but conscious, strategic, and seductory control. Every impulse you experience is a source of vital energy, a fire that can consume everything if it is allowed to escape into instantaneous pleasures, or transform into unmatched power if it is directed toward your goals, your body, your mind, and your projects. When a man learns to control his desires, everything changes around him. Their gaze is intense, profound, and almost hypnotic. They gain weight without the need for external demonstrations or gritos. Their presence transmits something ancient and persistent, an attraction that many women immediately notice, but are unable to explain. This tension, this contained energy, is what separates a common man from one who simultaneously inspires respect and desire. Placer por si solo no es incapacitating. The lack of control is what weakens. Men who engage in dispersed and purposeless sex become impulsive, whereas men who control their desires transform that same energy into focus, power, and attraction. Every time you channel your inner energy into your growth, ambition, and goal, you become an irresistible force in someone whose power doesn't require demonstrations, since it is evident in every gesture, movement, and decision. The history is filled with men who understood this truth, including emperors, rulers, and conquistadors who occasionally abdicated their positions of authority due to their irrational fury and channeled it into actions and strategies that changed their surroundings. They didn't need external validation because their energy was self-perseguable and self-attracting. Paradoxically, it's exactly those men who lack desire, respect, and fascination and who don't need anyone else to feel whole. To control your desires is to control your destiny. Third, communication. The art of speaking with authority. The communication is about talking with weight, not about talking a lot. A man is revealed by his words, what he says, how he says it, and most importantly, when he says it. The majority of people talk without considering the possibility of causing awkward silences, but the man who controls language is aware that silence may also convey information. According to Machiavelli, the word is the leader's most powerful weapon, but it is also the Nicio's most dangerous weapon. And for good reason. A single sentence can open doors or close them forever. Speaking with power is not gratuitous. Rather, it is projecting intention. Your words should come from a place of serenity, not necessity, certainty, or doubt. Habla para declarar, no hables para convencer. Because the others understand what you say when you are comfortable with it. You must manage your breathing, your tone, and your movements. Every word must have a purpose. A man who is in control of his voice may lead a multitude or win a woman without confronting her. Remember, people are not interested in who talks the most, but rather in who speaks the most securely. And here lies the Machiavellic secret. Don't say anything you want to say. Just do what is required to shift the pieces that you find convenient. Selective silence is a form of power. Makes the others ask you what you know, what you're thinking, and what you're planning. Any argument may not have the same power as the duda that members possess. Talks less frequently, but when you do, each word feels like a sentence. Quattro. Total number of disciplines. The untouchable invisible hand of man. Discipline is mandatory. It is the silent force that characterizes a man who attracts without exerting himself. While others hope to feel inspired, you take action. As they said in Ancio, you get cumples and levantas. The majority seeks instant gratification, easy pleasures, and accomplishments that only sustain mediocrity. However, a woman feels immediately when a man has power over her life. Disciplined behavior, fulfilled promises, sustained efforts, and without using words, it is clear that you are facing someone who doesn't double down in the face of anything or anyone. Every woman who chooses to go forward, every project that ends without a hitch, and every limit that you uphold creates an invisible authority. She perceives that in your demeanor, the firmness of your gaze, and the security you discuss. This consistency creates attraction since it conveys that it is independent of external approval or validation. This energy is more alluring than any beautiful word. Talks about power, independence, and mystery. A woman feels when a man walks on her own path rather than running behind her. I understand that you must be at your height if you want to be a companion. On the other hand, queda fuera. It is a silent despierta deseo, not because it seeks, but because it projects a force that cannot be ignored. Every disciplined action is an unseen espada, a demonstration that your life is not characterized by impulsive actions, but rather by decisions and purpose, which causes you to lean toward you, admire you, and want to be near that controlled and dominant energy. Cinco. Respected by the same person, the power base. Respect for oneself is not measured. Rather, it is projected. A woman notices it right away. It has nothing to do with money, physical appearance, or skills. There are clear boundaries, unchangeable standards, and a guy who is not allowed to be manipulated or manipulated by outside forces. She knows when you are confident in your worth, when you don't take care of others, and when your decisions are solid and consistent. This silent force simultaneously inspires admiration and desire. Responding means not being fearless, choosing your values over external approval, and maintaining your integrity whether faced with opportunities, people, or situations. Every limit you uphold and every action in line with your values conveys something that no word can adequately describe. Nobody can take up your space or attention. And that makes you want to get closer because you know that only people who are at your height want to be with you. Respect for yourself changes how you present yourself, how you stand, how you walk, and how you handle authority. She understands, even if she doesn't say it. Paradoxically, you become the reference, the man who marks the pata without asking for anything, while other guys try to be nice. In that game, the woman is drawn to you not because of your words, but rather because of your ability to bring respect and control to your life, bringing about security and charm without exerting any effort. When a woman tries to challenge a man she respects, her provocation reinforces her desire. You know that no one can manage your energy without paying attention. The most effective method of seduction is this silent respect. Shows that you have internal value, complete control, and a life free from outside influences. This combination of strength, consistency, and authority makes her want to be near you and admire you much since she feels that she is facing someone who she cannot have, only accompany. Finally, the majority of men break up because they focus on the outside world before looking themselves. Before building value, they seek validation. Women want to control their energy before anything else. Before they respect themselves, they expect respect from others. They believe that taking charge is a matter of imposing oneself on others. When true leadership begins with internal obedience, the ability to set one's own rules and remain steady in the face of one's own desires, feelings, and decisions, a woman immediately recognizes it. Distinguish between the man who silently governs his inner world and the man who reaciona around him. This perception is seductive because it instills in someone a sense of strength, constancy, and mystery that is independent of external approval. Real masculine power does not exist in money, arrogancia, or musculos. Resides under the same person's supervision, guidance, and presence. It is the silent force that elevates a man to a position of authority without the need for demonstrations. And the woman perceives and feels it in every glance, movement, and conviction-driven decision. The man who controls his emotions, desires, words, routine, and limits projects an energy that attracts without demanding and seduces without seeking approval. This is known as authentica magnetization. The woman chooses it not because she needs it, but rather because she wants to be near that controlled and contained energy, that disciplined force that transmits power without limits. Prior to winning money, recognition, or women, you learn how to win the same. Learn to support yourself when life throws you a curveball and make firm decisions when everything is unclear. To keep quiet while others are trying to get your attention. The true force is not found in chaos, but rather in the stillness that imposes order. Every habit you develop, every limit you maintain, and every emotion you regulate translates into natural authority. And a woman perceives this, even without using words. I understand that there is only genuine respect and desire in front of you, not any possibility of manipulation. Not a man kommen if legaste ostaki. You are someone who wants to be transported, someone who leads the corriente rather than letting it erase them. You are aware that true magnetism never demands silence, never imposes itself, never proliferates, never persecutes, never attracts, and never leaves. The force does not appear by raising its voice or competing with others. It shows maintaining composure while everyone loses control and drains your energy without anyone having to stop you. Master these 5 skills. Because of your self-control, discipline, sexual self-control, presence, and respect, you have an appealing charm. Has caused your internal value to be recognized without your having to explain it. When you do this, you will see that respect stops being something you desperately seek in order to transform into the natural reaction of those who rode you. And the feminine desire will stop being a game because your energy doesn't persist. It just manifests itself. When a woman sees a man in this way, she doesn't have to tell him what she wants. She senses it in every gesture, silence, and consistent action. And paradoxically, while other men try to conquer it, you have learned to conquer your world first, making you someone who not only commands respect and desire, but also exerts effort and authority that everyone recognizes, but that no one can duplicate.
M.